What's understood don't need to be explained. Got too much gratitude, I can't complain. Thank you for your vote of confidence, but I don't need it if it don't have a genuine ambiance. Collecting crystals with Jamal on a nature trail, knowing that the truth will always prevail. Sitting on the top of the mountain, I want to share it with you, but you wasn't in the space where I can come and get you. Messages I left on red cause I refuse to take back anything that I said. At this point I'm rearranging my circles to be a pyramid, knowing that the real ones will find me if I left off the grid. But let me think again.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to day 3 of the 13 days of self-witnessing. Over the last 2 days, we have reflected on the ancestors who came before us and the living legacy that continues to move through us. Today, we turn our attention inward, towards a voice that has been with us all along, the voice of the heart. There is something fascinating about the heart. Unlike the mind, the heart rarely argues. It rarely demands. It rarely shouts. The heart speaks softly. It does not force. It invites. And because it speaks so gently, many of us have learned to overlook it. We live in a world that teaches us to trust speed, to trust logic, to trust productivity, to trust whatever appears loudest and most urgent. Meanwhile, the heart waits patiently, offering wisdom that often arrives as a feeling, a knowing, a pull, a quiet nudge in a particular direction. The heart does not always explain itself. Sometimes it just simply knows. Have you ever felt drawn towards something that made no logical sense? Have you ever felt called towards a new beginning before you can explain why? That is often how the heart communicates. Not through certainty, but through resonance. Not through pressure, but through invitation. The practice of self-witnessing begins when we become willing to listen. Not just to our thoughts, not just to our fears, not just to the expectations of others, but to the deeper truth that lives beneath all of those things. Many times, the heart has already answered the question. The challenge is that the mind just keeps debating. The heart already knows when something is aligned. It already knows when something has ran its course. It already knows when we are honoring ourselves and when we are betraying our own truth. But because the heart's language is subtle, we often drown it out with noise. We stay busy. We seek constant distraction. We ask everyone else what we should do. And then we wonder why clarity feels so far away. What if clarity is not far away at all? What if it's just sitting quietly within you, just waiting? Waiting for the moment of stillness, waiting for a moment of honesty, waiting for a moment when you're willing to listen. Self-witnessing invites us into that moment. Not to judge ourselves, not to criticize ourselves, but to become present enough to hear what has always been there. Because the heart is not concerned with performance, the heart is concerned with truth. It asks, such questions as, does this feel aligned? Does this feel nourishing? Does this feel authentic? Does this feel like love? And perhaps most importantly, does this feel true? The heart chakra reminds us that wisdom is not only something we think, it is also something we feel. There's an intelligence within the heart that cannot always be measured, analyzed, or explained. Yet many of the most important decisions in our lives emerge from that space. Today, I invite you to slow down, take a breath, place your hand over your heart if that feels comfortable. Just simply listen. Not for what you think you should hear, not for what someone else wants you to hear, but for what is genuinely present. You may be surprised by what arises when you create a space for your own inner knowing. Today's reflection question is, what truth has my heart been trying to tell me? Sit with that question, journal with it, meditate on it, carry it with you throughout the day. And if the answer begins to emerge, just simply honor it. You do not have to act on it immediately. You do not have to have everything figured out. Just simply acknowledge it. Sometimes healing begins with the moment when we stop arguing with what our heart already knows. Thank you for joining me on day 3 of 13 days of self-witnessing. Tomorrow, we will explore the sacred relationship between the heart and the throat as we reflect on speaking the truth of the heart. Until then, Listen gently, listen honestly, and trust the wisdom you seek may be already waiting for you. This is Brittany Vibez. I'm witnessing with you. Until next time, remember, your authenticity is sacred, your presence is powerful, and your light was never meant to be hidden. Ashe.